Thank you so much for having me today. I'd like to start by acknowledging the first Australians on whose traditional lands I'm situated, and by paying my respects to elders past and present. Since Joseph Nye coined the term soft power, it has become a profound power metaphor in international relations. For IR scholars, questions like, is soft power a power? Do all states have soft power? Can soft power be leveraged intentionally? And can soft power be measured remain fundamental to ask. My initial interest in studying soft power rankings was to better understand both theoretical and operational perspectives of the object referred to by the term soft power, and how practitioners apply the concept of soft power into their policy-making process. In today's talk, I will focus on soft power qualities reviewed by these rankings. The study covered 13 ranking institutes and their soft power ranking programs between 1990 and 2022. Most rankings conceptualize soft power as strategic, agent-centered, and policy-oriented. The ranking research program's focuses are divided between those who use soft power assets to realize states' power and influence, and those who draw on all resources available to a statecraft in generating soft power. According to Nye, soft power resources of a country arise from cultural, political values, and foreign policies. Nye defined power as the ability to change the behavior of others to achieve preferred outcomes, and the softness of power refers to doing so through persuasion and attraction. The strategic goals of each power actor may differ. In reviewing these soft power research programs, 3 major objectives were identified. The first is the use of soft power as a reasoning and judgmental device to justify hard power in a war event. The UN Charter Article 2.4 prohibits all member states' use of force unilaterally. There are only 2 exceptions: the use of force for self-defense or the use of force for the purpose of peace, where such action is authorized by the UN Security Council. In both cases, the preference of collective use of force is clear. The measuring and analytical focus rests on the ability to form wartime alliances and on global audience sentiments towards warring parties. The next 2 themes are more common among all rankings: countries' rational cooperation based on game theory and national branding by strategic differentiation. All 3 strategic goals overlap with strategic communication practice, and we often call it the ability of winning hearts and minds. I used an inductive approach to read soft power measuring indices, objective and subjective data, and the results. I found 3 distinct but ideal characters among soft power actors. A soft power activist emphasizes on investing in a country's soft power resources, technological and ideational. For example, an activist can televise himself wearing a t-shirt saying, "I'm a good person," to make such a message visible to as many people as possible. A soft power master reflects on her contextual intelligence in dealing with various situations. That's a more skill-focused capacity. And a soft power engenderer takes a more laissez-faire approach, which often is the case with countries with less investment on soft power resources, or where there is an absence of intention to influence officially through culture. But where high soft power ranking positions are still retained, I'm not saying one character is better than the other. This is a judgment for audiences. In fact, most countries exhibit all three soft power characteristics in different proportions, at different times, and in various contexts. I will explain each character type. The feature of soft power activists, it may be said, is a kind of contact investment. It's the capacity of a power actor to make soft power assets visible to targets. The logic of measuring such resources is the more contacts are made, the more there is the chance to build early attachments between resources and targets. Human communication is very interesting. Individuals are likely to scan their environments and quickly initiate meaningful connections between themselves and external artifacts. So without measuring positive, negative valence, this stage is more like facilitating adequate exposure of one's soft power resources. Soft power master relies on contextual intelligence. This is the term introduced by Nye in his soft power book, which is an intuitive diagnostic skill that helps policymakers create smart strategies in varying situations. It's the ability of intersubjectivity. And for the targets, it's an internal event interacting with external ones. During the communication process, individuals draw upon their memory and bias in interacting with new external events. Cognitive and emotional states have been aroused in positive, neutral, and negative domains are used to measure this process. Future-oriented statements, including about risk evaluation, expectations, and desires, also appeared in the subjective data. This gives a clue to how ready the subject is to act on attitudes expressed. This individual experience-based subjectivity across the past, present, future perhaps is the most challenging part for policymakers to draw lessons from in soft power ranking results. After all, the qualities or conditions of attractiveness and the efficiency of persuasion always lie in the individual's experience. For message crafting, apart from accumulating identified soft power resources, the successful use of symbols attached to textual, visual, and audio artifacts can be seen as a masterful means of manipulation of collective attitudes. In so persuading, the attraction dimension of soft power also requires the actors give a sufficient degree of freedom between the subjects to dialogue and interact, so as to be outside the boundary of coercion. Former Australian Foreign Minister Gareth Evans' view on soft power resonates with Nye's contextual intelligence. And Jocelyn Chey, the former Australian diplomat, says that soft power doesn't need to be actively promoted. There could be an effect regardless of promotion. The qualities of a country's soft power, as seen by both Australian diplomats, are skills that enable countries to deal with most situations and events that they have little control over. The reflexive soft power analytical lens usually can be found in discussing lesser powers, what we often call middle powers or small states. The reason is that these countries are perceived to have relatively limited capacities to initiate influence. However, the reflexive soft power actors, or consequential soft power, become more visible in soft power rankings. The events that mentioned in these soft power ranking programs, I listed a few, are Japan's post-tsunami recovery, Germany's post-financial crisis economic performance, Australia's resilience in seeking alternative markets after its trade disputes with China, its major trade partner, and more recently, country's performance during the pandemic. More constant and unwavering preference and attitude are often combined with sustained individuals' embodied sensation, social experience and rewards, and awareness of desire. These are neither totally rational nor purely emotional. Comments like, "I feel Germany is always doing the right thing in international affairs," are an example of long-lasting feelings serving as information for decision-making. Predispositions toward personally favored brands often goes beyond rational or emotional calculus, what we might call a mental disposition towards materials and ideational artifacts that have previously been experienced as having virtuosity of content or performance and act as virtue in delivering the artifacts as advertised. This allows the individual to make an immediate decision without requiring exposure to new information or narratives. Such immediate feeling or attitude may also be somewhat genetic, like the love for nature, love for beauty, love for our children, or love watching cat videos on social media. These are also sustained attractions, preferences, and attitudes. Australia is on average a top-ranked soft power. Despite its relatively high rank, the ranking reports have not much to say about Australia's soft power. So Professor Chitty and the team at Macquarie did a separate project in order to explore more about this unclear attraction. We thought a country's immigrants would be the best storytellers about their new country's attractions. During the focus group interview, we found individuals made their first contact or gained a degree of knowledge about Australia, often by word of mouth. Our interviewees also pointed out, due to the lack of government projection overseas to attract migrants, they needed to do their own research about Australia because the information was not visible or routinely accessible in their countries of origin. But this finding aligns with soft power rankings. For people who reside outside Australia, often express their feelings towards Australia as nothing special, or I cannot think of anything bad about Australia. In ranking reports, Australia seems to have many soft power resources like democratic values, multiculturalism, qualities of education, economic performance, and international media outlet. But these are not so remarkable in comparison with other top soft power ranked peers. What was specially mentioned as being visible to global audiences was its natural brands, or the Australian lifestyle and environment. These sources compose the brand of Australia as a great place to visit and live, as a place to invest in. But such sources are not exactly the ones in nice categories. Nonetheless, they are essential resources from a marketing perspective for promoting Australia's image and in ensuring its continued prosperity. Individuals' attitude or lasting feelings towards a country and its agents can be, in overall terms, positive or negative. If the audience spots the significant other that has been very attractive, this often produces what we call accidental soft power. One such case is Chinese tennis player Li Na winning Asia's first Grand Slam at the French Open in 2011. 3 soft power rankings covered this story, and all of them focused on Lina's tattoo and her personality rather than the award. This kind of attraction is hard to predict, hard to plan, and hard to replicate. It also raises the question of credibility of soft power, whether individuals' attractiveness should be also counted as a resource of countries' attraction, especially when attitudes towards countries and particular individuals may vary. Further clarification is needed about the links between a country's reputation and its people when measuring soft power, especially since almost all soft power theorists think a country's best soft power resource is civil society. So far, we see soft power can be both strategic and non-strategic. Strategic soft power is about using identified resources to activate certain cause-latent or emotion-latent symbols, by which the target groups can be persuaded due to the beliefs, ideas, and interests they have already possessed based on their individual experience. From a non-strategic perspective, the attraction-based influence can be self-ruled, meaning generated within the individual without intervention by state agents. So without strategic aims, intention to influence, source to resource conversion, and resource activation. Many theorists have mentioned this uncalculated attraction. Professor Chitty, as he said at the beginning of this workshop, has theoretically analyzed this as unintended attraction-based influence, calling it soft break-it power. So I won't repeat his elaborations, but will just briefly summarize the key points. The theory of attraction-based influence examines attraction as experience, including cognition, feeling, and desire, rather than seeing soft power as resource, process, or outcome. The theory describes attractive influence as arising from virtue in content or behavior, and virtuosity of crafting content or performance. A very well-known experience-based rationality in behavior is the golden rule, the principle of treating others as one would want to be treated by them. Regardless of what stories or fictions one believes or supports, the golden rule seems to apply to everybody and works all the time. Professor Che thinks a nation's culture is really about the way people treat each other on the street. So she's talking about civility. Professor Evans has similar views. He thinks the essence of public diplomacy is the wholeness of the behavior of people on a day-to-day basis, dealing with a whole other population. It's about the experience of such interaction, both from us and from others. Earlier, we raised the question of how to define the relations between a country's reputation and its people. This is also a key question that I intend to answer in my doctoral thesis. From the data I collected, I found most of the time, individuals only see things about which they care. For example, education in Australia may not be a significant factor for people who do not have or plan to have kids. Similarly, for ordinary people, a foreign country's foreign policy and its domestic values only matter when they have direct impact on their lives. Personal experience often plays a significant role in country and people connections. For instance, feeling welcome while traveling to a foreign country, which can be attributed to the hospitality of the host society or influenced by positive perceptions of one's home country. In another example, individuals who need to explain to both their home country and the country they currently reside in what things are not as bad as reported. These daily encounters and interactions within their personal networks strongly influence their thoughts and feelings related to one's connection with their country of origin. It can be purely based on pleasant or unpleasant feelings and may not necessarily involve assessing a government's policies, values, or cultures. Lastly, I want to speak about the challenges for measuring strategic soft power in the current global context. In general, soft power rankings, especially those from 2000 to 2016, focus on measuring network capacity of a country and its society. Such networks contribute to the rise of noosphere and the realm of the mind. Ideally, these social networks don't intendedly feature subordination or domination. The security, economic, and social connections represent large networks of meaningful collaboration in reality or are latently based on thoughts and feelings. But we also see the dark side of strategic storytelling. Some stories are popular among some groups, and these noosphere members are so ready to take actions in installing the story in reality. Competing stories divert attention from material and symbolic differences. On the other hand, none of the story makers or spheres of mind showing the capacity of winning the alternative before the crisis culminates in desperation and fosters violence. Despite major themes of strategic soft power remaining in today's international relations, many soft power researchers are reluctant to call this phenomena soft power or think of soft power. At the meantime, reflective soft power, consequential soft power, resilience of dealing with varying contexts, and unintended attraction-based influence seems more relevant for purposes of analysis. Soft power will, of course, continue its dominance in policy parlance. Our recent research looks at the impact of emerging AI technologies on noopolitik and noosphere. Governments and corporations are drawn to invest in AI due to its potential as a powerful tool for gaining power, influence, profits, and understanding their target audience thoughts and emotions. The majority of capital flows into four categories of AI: surveillance and control, defense applications, trading and deal-making in gambling, and storytelling across various industries such as marketing, education, entertainment, and content creation. It's becoming increasingly clear that AI will play a role in the game of noopolitik by further mining of and leveraging people's cognitive and emotional empathy. The use of advanced network and sensory AI technologies has revolutionized the way we collect, understand, and disseminate data. This transformational approach will cause both contact investment of soft power activists and contextual intelligence of soft power masters to largely rely on AI. For soft briquet power and soft power engenderers, the further diffusion of power is evident in an AI-driven world, where individuals' ideas and instructions can be materialized instantly. This ongoing development will compel soft power researchers to explore novel perspectives in assessing attraction-based influence.